looking at what you guys acquired at the deadline, just where do those guys fit for you guys, and how much of a need were those guys coming into this deadline?
Yeah, I think, coming in, obviously we've had far more injuries than we expected. We talked about it along the way with, looking for real impact type moves. And I think as we got closer, it's like, I think that both were needed, right? Like the impact and the depth type moves. And I feel like with the acquisition of these five guys, we were able to accomplish that by getting Jack Flaherty, probably the best starting pitcher that moved. What he's done this year has been really impressive. He's made some changes that, we feel are really important for his success to see that uptick that he's had. Getting Tommy as somebody we've been trying to acquire for quite some time, and just fits us really well with how he plays and what he can do. And then also, getting Kopech, who's impact arm out of the pen, and we feel like there's some real levers that we can pull to continue to improve how he's going. He's done it over the last five or so games, and then KK and Rosario again to really round out the roster. So we're really pleased with how it came out in the end.
You kind of mentioned it there at first, but with Flaherty, how quickly did that all kind of come together, and how important was it to add somebody to your starting rotation?
Yeah, I mean, we had a ton of conversations with a lot of teams over this last week, and we felt like we talked about adding an impact starter was a very high priority for us, and Jack definitely is that. And his command, his stuff, the swing and miss, feel like that is a real power option come October. So he fits into this rotation really well.
Thank you.
Next question is from Fabian Ardaya. Go ahead.
Yeah, Brandon, you mentioned some of the changes with Flaherty. What specific stuff did you guys notice about him this year compared to last year?
Yeah, he's gone through some, mechanical changes and arm action stuff that has really, we've seen the velocity and, some of his deception improve. And then just his usage has been really pretty much dialed in with how he's using his pitches. But you watch him, there's like stuff in command. It's like, wow, like this is a lot to cover for any hitter. And his ability to do that with such consistency is really impressive.
And then I think both Getz and Mozeliak mentioned this, that is originally going to be Edman to the White Sox. Like, when did you guys kind of jump in, and how many different permutations did that sort of take place before it came together?
Yeah, I think those conversations were ongoing, and like I said, Tommy's somebody we've tried to acquire for quite some time now with how he fits with our roster. So having those conversations and using getting in the middle of that deal to be able to pull it all off and get both Michael, Kopech, and Tommy were something that was front of mind for us for a while.
And then with Edman, do you know how long it'll be until he's an option for you guys at the big league club, and do you know where he's probably going to play the most?
Yeah, he's with the team in San Diego now. We're going to have, our medical and performance team take a look at him. His wrist is in a really good spot. He sprained his ankle, a while back during the rehab. So we're trying to make sure he's in a good place, and we'll figure out how to make sure he's getting all the at-bats needed. And then when he's, in a good place physically, we'll send him out. And the beauty of Tom is he can play anywhere, so we can kind of see how things shape out.
Thanks, Brandon.
Next question's from Jack Harris. Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, Brandon. Obviously, the cost for a lot of pitchers seemed like it was pretty high on the market. Some guys that people probably thought were going to move didn't. Like, was there a point at all in the last couple of days where you guys, were worried that you might not be able to get the impact arm that you were looking for in Jack, or were you pretty confident that you're going to be able to get a deal done for that spot the whole time?
I mean, it was always a priority for us, so we were, willing to be aggressive on moves. And you don't ever feel great about this time of year, but it was definitely something we were looking to do and felt like we had the pieces to do that. So being able to acquire Jack was was outstanding in our minds.
And how did you feel about just some of the, both for him and the other deals you did, just the packages you guys had to give up? Like it seems like, seemed like pretty decent value comparatively. You guys kind of feel the same way about it?
I mean, we feel like we have a lot of good players, and the depth of our system is certainly a strength. So it's always painful giving up good players, but we talk about it all the time that we are here to win championships. So going out and doing what we have to do to make sure we're putting the best team on the field is what's really important for us.
And then obviously you have a lot of guys that can do a lot of different things for you on the field. Like at this point, do you have sort of a preferred permutation for how you want the lineup to look, or was part of doing this to be able to read and react as guys either come back or just as the rest of the season kind of plays out?
Yeah, I think this allows us a lot of different options to assess and see how the health of guys are coming along, and we'll all sit down with Doc and the coaching staff in the coming weeks, and as guys start to come back, it'll come into a clearer picture for us.
All right, thanks.
Next question is from Bill Plunkett. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, Brandon, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. How does this impact the bottom half of the lineup? What do you think is going to improve down there with all these additions?
Yeah, I mean, I think getting healthy and having our superstars back at the top of the lineup will create length, and then adding this group to that just allows different options for Doc to go out depending on who's pitching. For us, for them, if somebody needs a day, I just feel like it adds additional layers of flexibility and different options for Doc to go out and put out one of the best lineups in baseball.
And with Gavin Lux has been playing really well lately. You've added, you got about 5 guys who can play second base now. How will this impact his playing time?
I mean, Gavin's playing great. He's going to, keep going out there, and he's playing a great defensive second base. He's really been swinging it like we expect him to. So a lot of these guys can play a bunch of different positions, like we said. So it's kind of piecing it all together, but couldn't be happier with how Gavin's swinging it right now.
When do you anticipate Flaherty starting?
I talked to him today. He's going to get his flight and get settled in. So we'd like to get him around the coaching staff, but probably sometime this weekend.
Thank you.
You got it.
Next question is from Alden Gonzalez. Go ahead, Alden.
Hey, Brandon, this didn't directly apply to you guys, but what do you think led to there being such a high asking price for rental relievers? And were you surprised by it?
I think every year the market's just different, and can drive prices, and you get people who this is a time of year where people do things that they wouldn't normally do in the off season. So when you're a buyer, you end up paying prices that are going to be uncomfortable. And I think the relievers that were out there were pretty high impact. So you see teams really putting a high value on that, and then they're just willing to give up more value on that.
How much did you guys sort of dabble in that market, if at all?
Yeah, I mean, look, once we get Kopech, we felt really good with our group. We feel like we have a deep group, never mind the guys that are on the IL right now, but we continue to stay in touch with teams and kind of see what was out there. So, the conversations are endless, seemingly, during the deadline, and what actually comes to fruition is a different story.
Thanks, man.
Next question is from Kerry Osborne. Go ahead, Kerry.
Brandon, how imperative was it to get a frontline starter, especially considering with what you have and what's coming back, and then also factoring how starting pitching, how important it is in the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole time it was our number one goal coming into the deadline, and being able to do it makes us feel really good about the group that we have in there currently, and also who's coming back to put out a really strong, what should be a stretch run in October rotation.
And with Kopech, obviously played with, in Chicago, where defense was not as strong as what the Dodgers have right now. How do you see him playing or elevating with the Dodger defense behind him?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, we have a very good defensively, but also I think some usage stuff with Michael, which he actually already started to do over the last, 5 games or so. But it's one of the best fastballs in the game out of the pen. And then you start to mix in some secondary there. It's going to make everything play up.
Thanks, Brandon.
I got another question from Juan. Go ahead, Juan.
Yeah, Brandon, I couldn't let this end without asking about Kiermaier.
I almost led with it, but yeah, I figured you'd have another one. No, KK, excited to have him. Talk to him earlier. He's really fired up. So we know what he brings to the team on the field. It's going to be double plus defense, and his speed, and then it's just a exceptional person and teammate on top of that. So we're fired up to have him.
And you guys added a couple of guys who could play the infield too. What kind of the latest with Max Muncy? How much are you guys anticipating to count on him here down the stretch?
Yeah, we still feel very strongly that Max will be with us down the stretch run, and we'll continue to take this time to evaluate and get him reps and get him in game shape. But we still very much expect him to be with us down the stretch.
Cool. Thank you.
I have another question from Alden. Alden.
No, I didn't have a question. My bad.
And then last questions from Dylan Hernandez. Go ahead, Dylan.
Hey, Brandon. Jack earlier referenced the pitchers the high-end pitchers who didn't move. Just kind of years ago, I remember Andrew saying something along the lines of, right, if you're kind of rational with every move, like you'll kind of finish third in every free agent bidding. I think probably that applies sometimes to trades also. Was there any thought of doing something, I guess, irrational to maybe go after one of those higher end pitchers on the board?
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of conversations along the way, and like I said, we were looking to acquire a top end pitcher, and we're willing to do things that were uncomfortable on our end, and ultimately we were able to land one of them, which is the most important thing.
And one more, just with all the moves you guys have made here in the last couple of days, where does that kind of leave Mookie in terms of where you guys picture him playing defensively when he does come back?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's continuing to take ground balls in the infield, and we have so much open right now with guys who are on the IL. It allows us to take some time and see where we're at by the time he gets there. But he's ready to go wherever we need him to.
Thank you.